ask for permission or blessings of the Saraswati, the goddess of learning, the Vyasadeva, the author of Srimad-Bhagavatam, and Krishna himself. And by reciting Srimad-Bhagavatam every day, daily reciting of Srimad-Bhagavatam, all which is impure in the heart is almost destroyed just by reciting Srimad-Bhagavatam. And I will also add, by the grace of our particularly acharyas and our particular immediate acharya Srila Prabhupada, we actually have access to this transcendental literature which we would not be able to understand. So the point is that we should not take it for granted. We should offer it like we take prasadam. We should not take prasadam for granted. Sometimes we do. Cake is very tasty. But we should consider this is the mercy of the Lord. So reading Srimad-Bhagavatam is the mercy of the Lord. Hearing Srimad-Bhagavatam is the great mercy of the Lord. So let's hear the 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam, 9th chapter, verse 11. We are continuing with the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan in the form of a baby. We spoke the beginning, the verse of Damodara Ashtaka. I will combine, there will be Damodara Ashtaka with this pastime of Krishna as a baby in Vrindavan during the Kartik. And if you remember, I cannot repeat now the whole 3 lectures, 4, how many I have given. But we spoke about what does it mean to offer obeisance. What is the actual difference between the love of Mother Yashoda in a spontaneous devotional service and the one which is not spontaneous, or Aishwarya. And then we also spoke about Namam Ishwaram. Namam, what does that mean? There was a whole lecture about Namam. And now we'll finally start a little bit with the pastimes about Madhya Yashoda, how this whole Damodar pastime started. And we are going to this verse. This is ultimately the verse of describing the Madhya Yashoda's desire to punish Krishna and ultimately tie him to a grinding mortar. And this is how, this is a glorification of Krishna, tying Krishna with a rope around his belly. So, Kritagasam tam, Kritagasam tam prarudantam akshini. Kritagasam tam prarudantam akshini. Kashantamagyan mashini swapanina. Kashantamagyan mashini swapanina. Udvikshamanam bhayavichvalekshanam. Udvikshamanam bhayavichvalekshanam. Haste grihitva bishayanti avagurat. Haste grihitva bishayanti avagurat. Kritagasam tam prarudantam akshini. Kashantamagyan mashini swapanina. Udvikshamanam bhayavichvalekshanam. Haste grihitva bishayantyavagurat. Kritagasam tam prarudantam akshini. Kashantamagyan mashini swapanina. Udvikshamanam bhayavichvalekshanam. Haste grihitva bishayantyavagurat. Kritagasam tam prarudantam akshini. Kashantamanjan masini swapanina. Udvikshamanam bhayavihvalekshanam haste grihitva vishayantyavagurat. Mr. Prabhu? Yeah. Kritaga samtam prarudantam akshini kashantamanjan shini swapanina udvikshamanam bhayavihvalekshanam haste grihitva vishayantyavagurat. Kritaga samtam prarudantam akshini kashantamagyan shini swapanina udvikshamanam bhayavihvalekshanam haste grihitva vishayantyavagurat. Kritaga samtam prarudantam akshini kashantamanjan shini swapanina udvikshamanam bhayavihvalekshanam haste grihitva vishayantyavaguram. Krita agasam, who was an offender, tam unto Krishna, prarudantam, with a crying attitude, akshini, his two eyes, kashantam, rubbing, agyatmashini, from whose eyes the blackish ointment was distributed all over his face, with tears, swapanina, with his own hand, udvikshamanam, who was seen in that attitude by Mother Yashoda, bhaya vihvala ikshanam, whose eyes appeared distressed because of such fear of his mother. Haste, by the hand, grihitva, catching, bishayanti, Mother Yashoda, who was threatening him, avugarat, and thus she very mildly chastised him. So, Heidi Morgan is gleich Vers, ja. Dass du weißt. So, translation, Übersetzung. When caught by Mother Yashoda, Krishna became more and more afraid and admitted to be an offender. He admitted, Krishna. As she looked upon him, she saw that he was crying, his tears mixing with the black ointment around his eyes, and as he rubbed his eyes with his hands, he smeared the ointment all over his face. So he would cry and he would just smear this all over his face. Mother Yashoda, catching her beautiful son by the hand, mildly began to chastise him. So this is the meditation we want to have for the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. This scene here, how Mother Yashoda caught Krishna and he's crying and he's rubbing his eyes and the mascara is smeared all over his face. And Yashoda starts chastising. So I will. This is the Damodara pastime. Actually, how Mother Yashoda. We will see tomorrow why was she actually chastising Krishna. But first, we'll beginning with this pastime of Mother Yashoda. In Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda was churning the yogurt. Why would she churn the yogurt? To make butter. This is the proper way to make butter. There's some other ways to make butter, but to make butter, you first make yogurt, and then you churn yogurt. Nowadays we have machines, whatever. But at that time, you have to churn yogurt either with this. There's in India you can buy this. There's a stick with some kind of a star, and you do like this, and separates yogurt from butter. Or is a bigger one, and it's connected to a rope, and you pull the rope, and it's churned. That makes a bigger quantity of butter. And this butter is something which we cannot buy in the store, because it's made with from yogurt, and it's made with your own hands, and it's a very different taste. And it's very, very sweet, actually. This butter is just naturally very sweet. And you can actually eat it like this, and it's very tasty. And the rest, only the rest of the water, you can say, what is left over, this is called buttermilk. This is real buttermilk. And in India, in summertime, they make buttermilk, and they add some crushed, Jira? Cumin seeds. They do slightly roast cumin seeds, and you crush the cumin seeds, and then you put some salt, and maybe some little other spices, and then you drink this. This is called chas. This is like a refreshing drink for the summer. So Yashoda was churning this yogurt. And why would Yashoda churn the yogurt? Because sometimes Yashoda's name is Yashoda Rani. Yashoda Rani means she's the queen of Vrindavan. Nanda Maharaj, Nanda Maharaj. Maha means great and Raj means king. Nanda was the king of Vrindavan. And Yashoda was the Rani of Vrindavan. She was the queen of Vrindavan. So why would queen has to do anything? This is the dilemma. Why would queen have to churn her own butter? And the reason is, at that time they were all preparing, all the servants in the house. Actually, they have a palace, by the way, described in the Vrajariti Chintamani by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. All the servants and everybody else was engaged preparing for Indra Puja, because soon Indra Puja was about to happen, and we know what Krishna did before that happened. We will have this in 2 weeks, I think. Govardhan pastime. 14th, I think. I'm not sure. 22nd. Huh? No, 14th is the Prabhupada's disappearance there. I know something is on 14th. And appearance of Radha, this is appearance of Radha, this is my Guru's Vyasa Puja. So 14th is the appearance of Radha Kund, and 22nd is the Govardhan. But anyways, everybody was engaged in household affairs, preparing for Indra Puja, because at that time in village people, they worship demigod Indra, because by the pleasing of the demigods, they will get sufficient rain, sufficient sun, and so on. So Indra was very important. Rain is very important for the crops. If you don't have rain, everything gets dried, particularly in India, particularly this area, UP, Uttar Pradesh. It's a very dry area, and rain is very, very welcome. So everybody was doing this. So Mother Yashoda, she started churning yogurt, and while churning yogurt, as to use the ISKCON lingo, she did not space out. She was actually doing what? Anybody knows? Huh? No, just churning yogurt at the moment. She was singing the glories of Krishna. So that's why when devotees do something in the kitchen, we cook or something, we always listen some kirtan. Because we always want to hear kirtan as much as possible. There are devotees who always carry a phone with them, and even while eating, you can hear Hare Krishna, they're eating, or whatever. There's always the holy name going. Because if you see the youth, for example, in here, just any youth, they always have these earphones. They're always listening something. On the street now also, usually, the book distributors, they say, excuse me, they're like, what? Taking the earphones, because they're always listening something. but they do not listen transcendental sound vibration. They listen material sound vibration. Whatever it is. And so hearing all the time about Krishna is actually very helpful. So Mother Yashoda did not have all these modern amenities, MP3 players or whatever, computers. She actually was singing about Krishna. An interesting way, how would Yashoda sing about Krishna? She would sing authorized songs about Krishna, but she would also mix her own songs. She would create her own songs. So this is the beauty of a spontaneous devotional service. You sing a little bit this and a little bit that, and somehow you think of Krishna. She would sing the glories of Krishna conquering the Kaliya snake. She would sing about Krishna's killing Trinivarta or Putana. They would all sing this. I don't know how to play guitar, but I remember this one song when we were brahmacharis in America. We played this in guitar. It's a kid's song, and I remember it even now. It goes like this: Lord Krishna and Balaram went to Talavan. There they met one Dhenukasura. He kicked like Balaram, who grabbed him by the feet, whirling him around high up on a tree. So we was a brahmachari. we was a brahmachari singing this, you know. It's a simple song, but it's a pastime of Krishna killing Balaram killing Dhenukasura. They went to the forest. Dhenukasura, with his hoofs, kicked Balaram in the chest. Balaram was unmoved, and he hit him, took him by his and whirled him all, and hit him, sent him all high up on a tree, and then he died. So this is Mother Yashoda was singing something like this, you know, songs, and we see, for example, in the pastimes of Vamshidas Babaji, was a great devotee, pure devotee of Lord Krishna. He would also mix something like this. He would stand, and there would be a train. At that time, it was a train with, you know, this steam train, you know, this metal big thing. And he would see, and he said, "Oh, this is Agasura is coming." He would see train, and he would think this is Agasura, big demon. You know. And then when they would walk by the telephone lines or electricity lines, you know, there were poles and electricity. He said, "Is this line going to Vrindavan?" You know, he would ask. So they mix like this, a little bit worldly thing and the spiritual thing, but somehow or other always reminding of Krishna. I just wanted to illustrate Mother Yashoda singing a little bit this authorized song, a little unauthorized songs. But whatever she sings is all about Krishna because she cannot think about anything else. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually said that when Krishna broke these pots, we'll see later on, this happened on Diwali, Deepavali, on that day. And that's why everybody was preparing. So this is also another interesting point here. There's several acharyas say, one acharya said one thing, and another acharya said another thing. I will speak about this a little later, about the cloth Yashoda was wearing, which is very, very cool. So, so what Mother Yashoda was thinking also when she said, I will make the yogurt, I will churn the yogurt, because she thought Krishna is so naughty and he goes to the other neighbors' houses to steal butter, as if we don't have butter in our own house, you know. So then she thought maybe this is because the way the butter is prepared. It's not the best, you know, because it was prepared by servant or whatever. So she wanted to personally prepare. You know, sometimes there was this story, I think it was the ex-Harikesh Swami, he would make chapatis for Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada would like always puffed chapatis. And when they bring chapati, Prabhupada pierced the chapati and the hot air comes. And Prabhupada said, perfect. You know, this is the perfect chapati. So also puri has to be fried, actually, be like a puffed. I had this experience when we were in Pune recently. And I was cooking for the Mahabhoga for the deities. And I made puris and the Mataji came. And she said, not good, Prabhu, not good. I was like, I made a nice puris, and not good, Prabhu. So she just rolled quick and she showed me how to make puris. And this was my lesson. Now I know how to make puris. If you want to know how to make puris, please contact me after. Not good, Prabhu. Sorry, some very heavy message. And so Prabhupada liked to puff chapatis and to puff. And so at that time, I think Harikesh he was cooking for Prabhupada. And he brought chapatis. Prabhupada says, no, it was not puffed. Then he brought another one, not puffed. Prabhupada said, do you know how to make chapatis? And he said, Prabhupada, I'm using this not a gas stove, because gas stove, the heat can be very easy, but the electric stove is very difficult or something. I cannot do. And Prabhupada said, I will show you how to make chapatis. So Prabhupada went to the kitchen and he made first chapati and didn't puff. And Harikesh smiled a little bit, And Prabhupada just looked at him. And Prabhupada said, give me another one. So Prabhupada rolled another one and he made it perfect puffed. And he took chapati and he threw it at his face. And he walked away. This was a famous pastime. So I just wanted to say that Prabhupada himself said, you don't know how to make chapatis, I will make chapatis. So Madhya showed a similar way. She said, they don't know how to make butter. I will make butter for Krishna. So she went to these cows. Krishna has millions and millions of cows. His father Nanda Maharaj has many millions of cows. But these 2-3 cows they have, and these 2-3 cows are fed with a special grass. They have a special patch of grass only for these cows, and milk from these cows are used only for Krishna. So it's not like mix, nowadays we have a milk coming from EU, Poland, Greece, Norway, and that is all milk, They don't, everything is, only for Krishna. And this is a patch of the grass, special grass, And then they milk themselves and, and then make special butter for Krishna, the most flavorsome. So she was doing this, preparing. And they said, Srila Prabhupada says here, this is the incident to show how Krishna conscious Madhya Yashoda was. So Prabhupada says, to stay in Krishna consciousness, we should follow such persons. Again, we are not imitating Madhya Yashoda, pretending to be Madhya Yashoda, but we are actually following. Following means we see how Krishna conscious she was. Whatever she did, she tried her best to cook for Krishna. She tried her best to sing, to remember Krishna while doing this. So she was fully Krishna conscious. It is said that the Brijbasis in Vrindavan, when they're not physically with Krishna, because, for example, cowherd boys, they play with Krishna, they all go to sleep. Evening time, everybody goes to sleep. So the cowherd boys are not with Krishna, but they sleep and they dream about Krishna. And dreaming about Krishna is not different of being with Krishna, because it's an absolute platform. So Madhya Yashoda, so this is our example. We should always think of Krishna, and we should try to dream of Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada gives the formula how to dream about Krishna. Anybody knows the formula? Drink hot milk and read one story of Krishna book in the evening. This is the formula Prabhupada gave. And he said, then you will dream about Krishna. Then what else is there is that Madhya Yashoda did not speculate. She would not think like, okay, let me sing some other song or let me listen radio a little bit. It was always about Krishna and only about Krishna. So this is important. So Yashoda means, actually translation of a Sanskrit word Yashoda, one who gives fame. That she gives fame to Krishna. Actually, she glorifies Krishna by see how control is Krishna by the prema of his devotees. This is the glory of Krishna. The Krishna cannot be controlled. Krishna is Ishvara. Ishvara Parameshvara. Is the supreme controller. We're all different controllers. Somebody's in charge, or police tells you, go to the other side, or whatever. We have our children, we tell them, sit here. We control. We are controllers. But nobody is the supreme controller except Krishna. Krishna is supreme, he controls everything and everybody. And Krishna, who is the supreme controller, he is controlled by devotees' love, by devotees' prema. And therefore, Maria Yashoda, showing how much Krishna is controlled by her, she glorifies Krishna. Again, this is how devotees should also glorify Krishna. But somebody sees, oh, this devotee is very nicely behaved, this devotee is very, whatever, good devotee, as we said, or this devotee, this is the glorification of Krishna. And glorification of Krishna is the process of Krishna consciousness. When we chant Hare Krishna, and then somebody says, oh, this is an advanced devotee, this is a glorification of Krishna. Because it means this person applies Krishna's process, which works. And therefore, it's a glorification of Krishna. So therefore, this is also glorification of Krishna. Whatever we do, by staying devotees in the Hare Krishna movement, we are glorifying Krishna. Just by being here. So when you see somebody walk with a stick, oh, Hare Krishna, you say, oh, this devotee is glorifying Krishna since many, many years. He's one of the Krishna's herd, We have so Prabhupada says devotees should never be proud. There's only one instance the devotee is allowed to be proud. And what is the pride? No. The pride is that, look at how great master I have, Krishna. This is my pride. I'm very proud of my master. He's so great. Otherwise, we have nothing to be proud of. Anyways, so now, this is interesting. Next verse, this is the first verse in this chapter, actually, chapter 9. The second verse is describing the dhyana or meditation on Mother Yashoda. Ananda Krishna Prabhu was mentioning this verse the other day. And this is the famous verse and the famous purport of Srila Prabhupada, the first sentence. And the verse goes like this. The Yashoda is dressed in a saffron yellow sari. Saffron yellow. We each devotee, the famous devotee, is dressed particularly that we recognize him. Balaram's dhoti is color blue. Everybody knows. So when you see a handsome, young, 16 years old boy, you wander tomorrow chanting your japa in the forest, and you see somebody 16 years old and very strong and handsome and wearing blue, you say, well, maybe this is Balaram. Maybe, it could be. As I said, as Ananda Krishna Prabhu was mentioning this verse, I'm actually just quoting you. The one how Yashoda was dressed, the dhyana on Yashoda Mai. Yashoda Mai dressed in a saffron yellow sari. So she has a sari which is saffron color. Saffron yellow is actually, we'll see a little bit here. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that she was wearing the clothes made of atasi tree. Atasi tree is acacia, acacian. You know acacia? Tree, acacia. Acacian? And this tree, he said, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, that she was wearing this cloth made of very fine fiber of that tree. On the other hand, Jiva Goswami said that she was wearing a linen sari. And this acacia is actually very good coloring agent. So because at that time they didn't have artificial colors that they can just buy in the store, so they would dye natural colors with natural ingredients. And this acacia bark is actually, if you soak it in water, it becomes like a saffron yellow. And that's it. Yashoda had a sari, like a very colorful gradation of yellow of this. So it's not like just plain, but very nicely, artistically done. So anyway, Mother Yashoda was wearing a saffron yellow sari with the belt tied around her full hips, and she would do the churning rope. She would pull the rope, laboring considerably, her bangles and earrings moving and vibrating. Bangles, we know the married women in India have all kinds of bangles. Sometimes you see in Rajasthan, they have like Rajasthani village, they have like this much, maybe 20, 30 each hand. So many, And they have earrings, these big earrings and whatever. And it is said sometimes that Krishna, that when they do this, gopis churn the butter, the banging of this, what did they call it now? Bangles, is actually producing kirtan that is sweeter than producing kirtan that is sweeter than nectar. Cling, cling, cling. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So Gopi Gita, when you cook tomorrow, your lunch for your kids, Hare Krishna. So she's yellow sari, she's churning the butter, she has a belt, and bangles and earrings are moving and vibrating, and her whole body is shaking because you have to do this. And because of her intense love for her child, her breasts were wet with milk. Her face is very beautiful, with beautiful eyebrows. But these eyebrows were wet with perspiration, so she was sweating. It's hard labor. And malati flowers were falling from her hair. Malati flowers are the jasmine flowers. It's a very, in Vrindavan, we have, whoever lived in Vrindavan or India, they have these trees with flowers. And these are like a white flowers with four or five petals, but mostly four. And you can get them anywhere. And when we were last time in Radhakund, and for the Kartik in the morning, all the men, just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the men, they come with the baskets and pick up the flowers to do puja, So the men are talking about some important points. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Nimai became a devotee, all the men, Srivasacharya and others, Srivas Pandit and other devotees were picking the flowers, and they said, "Did you hear the news? What happened?" Nimai became a devotee, like, wow, picking flowers, really? So this is the place of, information exchange. So this is the picture of Yashoda Maya. And Prabhupada says in the purport, there's a famous sentence, as Ananda Krishna was quoting it, anyone who desires to be Krishna conscious in motherly affection or parental affection should contemplate the bodily features of Mother Yashoda. So if you want to become, Vatsalya Rasa, if you have attraction for Vatsalya Rasa, this is the meditation, dhyana. Meditate on Mother Yashoda in saffron sari, was churning the butter, sweating, and flowers are falling. Prabhupada says, it is not that one should desire to become like Yashoda. This is Mayavada. Because this place is already taken. We cannot become Mother Yashoda. We cannot become Radharani. Sorry, all the girls, no. Radharani is already there. We become servant of Radharani. We can follow the footsteps of the servants of Radharani. So we should take a humble position. So Prabhupada says, either in parental affection or conjugal love or friendship or servitorship, in any way, we must follow in the footsteps of the inhabitants of Vrindavan and not try to become like them. As we know, Krishna's friend Madhu Mangal, when they eat lunch, Madhu Mangal is somehow, they said he's stealing or getting the ladus or hook by crook from other boys, and then he does what? He puts his hand under the armpit and made funny sound. And everybody's laughing. So, during the breakfast, we should not do this. But we should, not even stealing prasadam is a little bit allowed, but we should try to follow in their footsteps of devotion to Krishna. But now, oh, he's doing, I should also do. This is Mayavada, Prabhupada says. Advanced devotees must cherish this description, always thinking of Madhya Yashoda, features how she was dressed, how she was working and perspiring, and how beautiful the flowers were arranged in her hair, and so on. So, this is important. Prabhupada says, meditation is necessary for those worshippers in Navatsya mood. So, interesting, I wanted to just little digress, not digress, but in the same thought, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur said about this. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, this is from the book of Bhajana Rahasya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote. Because in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is stated that devotee in Raga Marga is simultaneously fixed in two kinds of service, in his sadhana deha and his siddha deha. For those who are new in Krishna consciousness, I'm going this way, so I cannot explain now everything. But sadhana deha means we do our sadhana, who we are, as the sadhaka devotees. We worship Krishna, we offer obeisance, we come to Mangalarti, we shave our heads, men shave our heads, women, whatever, we put tilak, they put this red thing, and we dress, we chant, whatever we follow sadhana, sadhaka. But we also have siddha deha, the spiritual perfect body. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes this verse, siddha deha seva sadak rupena siddha rupena chatrahi tadbhava ipsuna karya vraja lokanu sarataha. The advanced devotee who is inclined to spontaneous loving service should follow the activities of a particular associate of Krishna in Vrindavan. He should execute service externally as a regulative devotee as well as internally from his self-realized position. Thus, he should perform devotional service both externally and internally. So this is the formula, instruction, how we should do. We should, again, not show, as Prabhupada says, not show too much of your, Prabhupada used this word sahaja, cheap, or whatever all people dress. I saw this once, I'll never forget this scene. The bearded man wearing a sari in Vrindavan. It did not look good. It did not look like, I want to do this. I was thinking, oh my God, Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jaya, these are called Saki Beki. This is dressed as men, as gopis. And but nor should we just continue and neglect our inner spiritual life either. And it is said that one should never reveal one's realizations one should reveal one's realization to the equals, as a pretty lakshanam exchange of loving exchanges. One of the loving exchanges, what happened? I had this realization. Oh, really nice. But this should be among the devotees who are on equal level. It is said that Lord Chaitanya would, in the night, he would speak about, fully about the glories, not glories, but he would actually enter the mood of Srimati Radharani in Gambhira, in Puri, and only Swarup Damodara and Ramananda Rai would be there. And Govinda as a servant would be outside of the door. But that would be it. He would never speak to other two men. And then in the morning when Lord Chaitanya would go out to do his duties, as Lord Krishna's Kaviraj in Chaitanya Charitamrita says, duties, meaning this is the sadhaka duty. He would go out and he said he would do utmost to contain himself, to don't show these emotions. So he would just walk around very seriously. And we see sometimes Srila Prabhupada's face full of emotions, but he just stand there like this, frozen, not speaking. And once there was this, Prabhupada had a passport, believe it or not, Indian passports when he came to America, and he had a picture for the passport. And his picture, Prabhupada looked so stern, like kind of angry, half depressed. So devotees, after Prabhupada became Swamiji, got initiated, devotees initiating, and then they said, Swamiji, why are you in this picture so serious, so angry? And Prabhupada says, He says, I was in complete ecstasy. But he couldn't control himself. Actually, he could control himself. So this is just want to say this so-called paradox. We have an inner life, we have external life. And external life, we perform this external life, but our inner life is not to be shared with the public. This should be shared if we want to with some, friends. And for example, Bhaktivinoda Thakur transgressed this rule, and he shared his internal life with the public. This is one of my favorite songs. It says, Ami Jamuna Puline, Kadamba Kanane, Kiherinu Sakiyaje. I'm not Bengali expert, but Kiherinu Sakiyaje. Look, my dear Saki, whom have I seen on the bank of Yamuna? Krishna. So this was and then one song, I think it was Shuddha Bhakata Charana Renu. The Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, one day I was chanting and my house transformed into Vaikuntha. Imagine, you chant here and Hare Krishna, then suddenly, what happened to my room? It became Vaikuntha. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur sharing for the sake of preaching, although it's not supposed to be shared. So, this was the meditation of Mother Yashoda. I want to say a few more meditations. Meditation on Krishna, as we are International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And we should meditate on Krishna also. And this is a very nice verse from Srimad-Bhagavatam 10:21-5. So I'm reciting these verses, so when we go home, we'll think about Yashoda is dressed like this, Krishna is like this, and even Radha is like this. I will also quote a few verses from Radha meditation. So wearing a peacock feather ornamented upon his head. So Krishna is wearing peacock feather. This is very village style, I know from my land, when some cool guy, the village guy, they wear I don't know the translation of this, the name of the bird, but the feather of a bird. Sometimes pheasant, they put it around the ear. Fazan, yeah. They put fazan feather, because it's very colorful. And then they put on a hat, isn't it? Do you have this also? Everybody has this. They have this fazan feather, and you're like, oh, he's a very attractive young man. All the women think, wow, very handsome. So Krishna does this. He puts a peacock feather, Oh, the girls like, oh, he's something is there. So peacock feather. Blue karnikara flowers on his ears. Sometimes we have our deities. Nitya makes garlands. And so, there's some garland for our Shilas that this small. So you cannot put them on your neck, but we carry them in our ears, So I think it looks ridiculous. But actually, Krishna wears flowers around his ears. Then, a yellow garment, yellow clothes, as brilliant as gold. So Krishna wears like a golden colored dhoti. So if you see Krishna in green, maybe not Krishna, it's a golden color. And what else he is wearing? Vaijayanti garland. And this Vaijayanti garland is made from the forest flowers. All the beautiful forest flowers. They just go to the forest and pick the flowers and make a garland. And they said that Krishna is very attracted to the smell of the flowers. And who else is attracted by the smell of the flowers? The bees, the drones. And they said sometimes when Krishna would walk from a distance, and they would think that the black Krishna, but then there's a black cloud around him. There's actually all these bees and drones. And they said that these bees and drones in the previous lives, they were great sages reciting mantras. They're still reciting mantras. Om Tad Vishnu Ramana. In the morning they have this Purusha Shukta. What is it? Purusha Shukta? So these are the sages. And Krishna is walking casually, frolickly. So this is what's going on. Then, Krishna exhibited his transcendental form as the greatest of dancers as he entered the forest of Vrindavan. And he beautifying Vrindavan with the marks of his footprints. And then on top of it, He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips. There's a whole part of the chapter in Chaitanya Charitamrita describing the glories of the flute who actually touches the Lord Krishna's lips. It's not easy to actually touch Krishna, because flute is also a person. So Krishna is playing his flute, and the cowherd boys sang his glories. Krishna is wonderful, whatever they call it, you know. I was just singing this. You heard the song when I was singing Krishna Balaram? Yeah. Yes, he kicked him. Yes. And yeah, it's a nice song with the guitar. It's really nice. And they sung the Krishna's glories. I heard this. This is unofficial. I don't remember is it from any shastra, but I heard it, and I will say it. When Brahma Vimohan Lila offended Krishna, you know, and he thought to steal the boys and the calves, and Krishna manifested so many calves and so many boys in the semi-exact manner, and Brahma saw it, and he was very shocked, and he thought, oh my God, I offended Krishna. So he immediately came down with his 4 shiny, Brahma is a very shiny personality, dazzling. So with his 4 heads, he touched the ground and immediately offered Aratik to Krishna. And Krishna was sending little boy. This happened in Govinda Kund in Vrindavan. And this happened, and Brahma left, and all this paraphernalia stayed. So the cowherd boys, they came like playing. I said, what is this? He said, there was this shiny person. He did offering puja to Krishna. I said, really? How? He said, like this. And they all start playing. Somebody was whirling around. Somebody was, woo, you know, joking, kids, you know. And he said, Krishna enjoyed this arati better than Lord Brahma's arati. Because they were thinking like, okay, you know, we worship Krishna, okay. As fun. So this is the meditation on Krishna. And one last thing is, for today, oh no, not last, before last, is a meditation on Radha. Because Srila Prabhupada he never installed Krishna alone. He said Krishna is never alone. So he always installed in our temples in ISKCON is Radha and Krishna. As this is his famous article. I don't know who wrote it. Jadvaita, who wrote this article? Who is this girl with Krishna? And there was a Back to Galilee, old magazine from 80s. Who is this girl with Krishna? Because we always say Radha and Krishna. This is God. You know, how is this? You know, when people say God, you know, the Simadev is God. You know, it's like, you know. But of course, he also has Prahlad Maharaj. But you know, like Pancha Tattva, it's very difficult to say this is God 5. You know, or you have a Radha and Krishna and Ashta Sakis. We have in Vrindavan, or in Mayapur, sorry, and in Tirupati, Ashta Sakis. You are like, oh, what is this? Induleka. This is Champakalata. This is Chitra, Vichitra. No, Vichitra? No. Suchitra. Chitra. Anyway, so who is Radha? You know, so Radha is a very important for us in Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And this is a little bit meditation from Prabodhananda Saraswati's Vrindavan Mahimamrita. Oh friend, follow the maidservants of Sri Radhika, whose bodies are like clusters of foam emanating from the transcendental ocean of sweetmost love. This is a little bit difficult to translate. It's poetic, because Prabodhananda Saraswati is very poetic. Anyway, so she's Radharani is very beautiful. She's an adolescent girl filled with cleverness, shining the deep radiance of youthfulness and decorated with divine garments and ornaments. Anyways, this is Srimati Radharani. And for the last, I just want to glorify, is a 8:45, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Because Vrindavan is especially Kartik, as Maharaj, Jadvaita Maharaj was speaking, the Prabhupada went to Vrindavan and he gave lectures daily for nectar devotion in Radha Damodara temple, in courtyard was still existing back then, Radha Damodara temple. And so Vrindavan is very important. So this is the quotation of Prabodhananda Saraswati. May I love Vrindavan where at the base of Kadamba tree on the cool shore of the Yamuna, a dark complexioned, you don't need to translate this too much, amorous divine youth dressed in yellow garments play a flute as he glances at Radha's lotus face. So this is the glorification of Shri Vrindavan Dham. We know there's a famous verse. We have these three verses. Mother Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinath. And the verse for Govinda is, anybody knows? Divyat Vrindaranya Karpa Drumada Srimad Ratnagara Simhasana Stav Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Deva Preshtalibi Sevyamanu Smarami. So Divyat Vrindaran in this wonderful Vrindavan Dham under desire tree. And this desire tree, this is a famous desire tree because there's so many desire kalpavrikshas. In Vrindavan is full of kalpavriksha trees. And one original kalpavriksha tree is sitting in Yoga Pit in this Govinda, where the Govinda temple is. This is the place where this original kalpavriksha tree is there. And in the Srimad Ratnagara, the jeweled throne, Ratna, is a jeweled throne, Radha and Krishna sitting there. Worshipped by the Preshtas, by the Preshta Sakis, by their most dear and closest associates, Sakis. And I remember Sevyamanu Smarami. So, this original Kalpavriksha tree incarnated in Chaitanya Lila as Madhavendra Puri. So, Madhavendra Puri is the original Kalpavriksha tree. So, this is interesting. You know, this is a devotee who's actually tree. You know, Haribol tree Prabhu. But this Madhavendra Puri, you know, the most elevated devotee, actually. The devotee who actually first brought love of Krishna to this earth, even before Lord Chaitanya. So this is the meditation Shri Vrindavan Dham, that the Lord Krishna and Radha, they're sitting on a jewel tree under the Kalpavriksha. Sorry, jewel throne. So, Prabodhananda said, what is the use of the highest royal pleasures? What is the use of perfecting a yoga system and traveling to the upper planets? Planet, okay, I can have mystic powers. He said, what is the use of great variety of material endeavors to attain useless ends? These things are insignificant in comparison to the residents of Vrindavan. So if we get somehow or other residence in Vrindavan, this is the highest actually benefit. Simply by living in Vrindavan, what will happen? One day I will hear the sweet sound of Krishna's flute. This is his aspiration. So imagine, so many people desire all these wonderful things, and they do so much endeavor, and so much tapasya, not eating ashes, or whatever, or starving, or going to the fire, and as we saw Prithu Maharaj, when he became Vanaprastha, he went to the winter time, he would go into the river up to the neck all night. Freezing cold, you know. So there's a heavy austerities. And so he said, what is the use of all of this if you're devoid of Vrindavan Dham? But in Vrindavan, what was the highest benefit in Vrindavan? Just to sit there and hear Krishna's flute. Okay, so conclusion. Don't do anything. Don't say anything. Forget everything you see. Remember only the fair and dark divine couple, and flee the common people and go to transcendental Vrindavan. So just this is the perfection of life, to remember Radha and Krishna and to actually go to Vrindavan Dham. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jaya. So Lord Chaitanya, just one conclusion, Lord Chaitanya actually was in the mood of the gopis, and he was saying this famous verse, Anyera Hridaya Mana, Mora Mana Brindavan. Speaking in the mood of Srimati Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, for most people, the mind and heart are one. But because my mind is never separated from Vrindavan, I consider my mind and Vrindavan to be already one. So Lord Chaitanya's mind is no different from Vrindavan. That's nice. And then at the end, I quote this our favorite song when me and my wife are singing since last couple of months. Brindabana chabutara tahemora monagera kohedina narotamadasa. This is a song by Narottam Das Thakur, Danamora Nityananda, Patimora Gaurachandra. And the translation, this is the last line, Vrindabana Chabutara Tahemora Mona Gera. You know Gera? You don't know Gera? This is a Hindi. Oh, you don't speak Hindi, you speak Gujarati. They said land of Vrindavan is the Gera is like kind of an area. Huh? Boundary, Gera. You know, as they said, Samadhi Gera. So this is the area where the Samadhis are. You know. So this Gera is Brindabana Chabutara Tahemora Mona Gera. My mind, but this is the Gera of my mind. This is the area of my mind. This is Vrindavan. He said the land of Vrindavan is the enclosure within which I keep my mind. So this is how we should follow in the footsteps of these advanced devotees like Prabodhananda, Saraswati, Yashoda, and the rest. This should be our Gera, our you can say allotted field, Vrindavandam, and there should be our mind. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll speak. I don't know if I'm going tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. I'm not sure. A little bit more about Yashoda's cloth, how she was dressed, and although I spoke already now, but we'll speak about Yashoda's cloth and the beginning of the Yashoda's Lord Krishna's trying to drink milk of Yashoda, and Yashoda put him down and Krishna get angry and all these things. So I thank you very much for your attention. Would you like to maybe ask anything? Yes, Prabhu. Yes, her complexion is similar to Krishna's. She's his mother. You know. Sorry. You know, once there's a devotee, I think he's father of this Gauravani Prabhu, Bharadraj. I'm not sure this is his father, but I think it is. The painter, ISKCON painter, he painted so many pictures, very nice paintings of Krishna. And then once he was painting, they have a studio, and he had all kinds of posters. At that time, they did not know, they didn't have a computer to find out pictures, so devotees would go to India and buy posters, and they would bring posters, and he would see, and from these posters he would paint something. You know, there's all these Indian posters of Krishna. So he had like several posters on the wall, and he would ask Prabhupada, which of these posters are closest to Krishna? Which of these Krishnas on the poster? And Prabhupada looked at him and he said, all of them. So this is the only possible answer I have. This is Mother Yashoda, you know. So, like sometimes you have Krishna in a white marble, Krishna and Radha and Krishna in white marble. So is this Krishna? It's Krishna. Sometimes Radharani is white, Radharani is golden. So why is Radharani white? Because this is Radharani. So I don't know why Prabhupada didn't correct it. You know, I think, of course, we should also understand that Prabhupada was not like a, how do you say this, going around, like a teacher going around with a stick and say, this is wrong, you know. If something is grossly wrong or something, but otherwise Prabhupada just let it fly, you know. Prabhupada was not like micromanaging, that's the word. He was not micromanager. Because nowadays we have so much, for example, should we wear this clothes or not clothes, or, what did Prabhupada said? And Prabhupada said, I don't know, he was just wearing dhoti, and and Mataji wore saris, and whoever. It's not like Prabhupada said, you must do this. Some things, yes, philosophical things, but Prabhupada was just, he would just let it naturally develop, and sometimes so I don't know why it didn't change. Maybe we can ask some artists, Prabhupada disciples who were painting at that time. They will know much better. But I don't remember Prabhupada ever said. Maybe I can look or something, but why Prabhupada never said. I know Prabhupada said about Nrsimhadev, he wanted to have more blood. You know this? Anyway, this is the last I can say. There was a painting to Jadurani Mataji, I don't know now, her name is Shamarani. And she would paint, this is one of the first, 1967, first artists, first devotees. So they did not have a picture of Nrsimhadev, so Prabhupada explained, he said Prabhupada was posing for Nrsimhadev. He would stand like this and she would paint him. Imagine Prabhupada poses like Nrsimhadev. So she would paint him, and she finished the painting and she brought it to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, how do you like it? The Prabhupada said, not enough blood. Make more. So she splashed more. There's this picture. You can see it. Is this the picture? The original is... anyways, so then she painted. Here it is. Anyways, you can take a look later. So she painted this, and then Prabhupada said, not enough blood, make more blood. So then the devotees, and put it in temple room. So the devotees said, how can you put it in temple room? This is like ghastly picture, blood. And Prabhupada said, no problem, it's Nrsimhadev. I had once, our very first temple, before we opened the temple in America, I was looking for a house, we couldn't find it. That's a long story. And then we were renting some apartments, some student apartments, some horrible student apartment. And then we were preaching still, and then one girl came to the temple. And at that time our main preaching was a Krishna art book. We just said Krishna art book, and we would go in the park, and we would lay around the book on the ground. And then the people will come and they say, what do you have? So we show, oh, this is Varahadev, this is Nrsimhadev, this is... So this was our preaching. And it was pretty good. So this girl came, so we thought, let's do the preaching. We opened our Krishna art book. And she was listening, listing, opening one page, another page, and this is Vishnu. And when Nrsimhadev came, she would be like, wow, who is this? And she started crying. She said, such a beautiful picture. We were like, wow. She thought it was a very beautiful picture. She became like a devotee of Nrsimhadev immediately. So, Krishna is transcendental. Anyways, thank you very much. Unless you have another question, please. Yes, Manuel Mataji.
Thank you very much for your lecture. Did I understood it correctly that the Gopal form is only...
Sorry?
The form of Gopal, Krishna's form of Gopal, like in this Lila, is only in the material world, not in the spiritual world?
Gopa? What do you mean Gopa?
I saw it as a Damodara.
A Gopal, young baby or what?
Yeah, this form is only in the material world, not in the spiritual world from Krishna.
The answer is yes. The baby form of Krishna is only in the material world. But because it's a form of Krishna, it's not a material world, it's a spiritual world. But in Goloka Vrindavan, it is described, there is no form of baby Krishna. There is no form of demons. There are no demons. There are fear of demons. But there are no demons.
And if we worship at home a Gopal deity and have some...
A Gopal.
Yeah, a Gopal deity and have some attachment to the Gopal deity, does it has a negative effect for going back to Godhead?
How can it be negative to worship transcendental Krishna? If you go to material world, so-called material world, where Krishna is present, is not anymore material world, it's a spiritual world. So in reality, there's no difference. If you go from one pastime to another, where baby Krishna is, you cannot be at loss. You enter actually in the spiritual world. It's just a material. We cannot somehow conceive that. Then the reality, Prabhupada says, when the devotees realize he sees everything as Krishna's energy, there's no material world for them anymore. What to speak if you are in Krishna's Lila? How is Krishna Lila material? How can Krishna Lila be negative? And let Krishna decide where we want to go. Krishna will always take care of us. We should have faith. It's not like I'm doing something wrong, by worshipping Krishna. And he said that actually the gopis, we'll see later on well, actually I spoke this earlier, when the Krishna was taking the tail of the little cows, and cows would drag him through the mud and cow dung and everything. And all the gopis, the elderly gopis, they were talking about this, and they were laughing, they stopped all their work. So this is actually Vatsalya Rasa. They're not parents of Krishna, but they're enjoying this rasa with Krishna in the spiritual world. So you cannot go wrong by worshipping Krishna, any ways, shape or form. And also, we should not, try to artificially think like, what is, in material world, we think, what is the best university? Harvard, Oxford, whatever, LMU, Munich, I don't know what is the LMU, Berlin, Freie University in Berlin. But we should think, and then we should think also, the devotees who materialistic way, they think, I don't want to be a cowherd boy, this is lower, I want to be a gopi, Then you try to be a gopi artificially. We should not do this. We cannot force this. We just worship Krishna however we feel, and Krishna will slowly in our heart reveal the taste. If your taste is to worship baby Gopal, just worship it. It's Krishna.
It was my Guru Maharaj gave him to me.
Yeah, so just worship it. And if you develop attachment, it's like, I developed only, I'm only worshiping baby Krishna. I should worship higher. This is materialistic way of thinking. Krishna is transcendental. Everything is transcendental. There's no difference. The main thing is that you have to be happy, and Krishna will make you happy. If he sees that you're happy with this, he'll make you happy, and he will give you more taste and intelligence how to do this. Prabhupada says this many times. And then not just this, but then after some time when you are more perfect, Krishna will send either your guru externally or internally, he will send you some representative, who will actually guide you further. So we will never be alone. There's this song by this football team, "You will never walk alone." So we'll never walk alone, never. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, you now kind of open the topic we just discussed recently under us. And the question was, in the material world, only there are demons. In the spirit world, there are no demons. But is there also a difference between the material world and Goloka Vrindavan in that regard? That in the material world, where the gopis, they have their husbands. And is this kind of only in the material world, or is this also in the spiritual world in Goloka Vrindavan, that Radharani has Abhimanyu as her husband and so on? Is this also?
It says sometimes that some gopis, some gopis have a notion that they're married. Notion. They were like, Gefühl, I'm married. But actually in reality, just like they have a Gefühl, there are demons in Mathura, but there are no demons. So I have a Gefühl that I'm married. They said there's just Gefühl. But some of them are married, I guess. I don't know. As, what is his name? Indra, I have to quote Indra again. Indra said, If you want to find it out, go there and you will find it out. These questions, you know. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, permanent.
I guess, or a notion, I guess it's more meant that there is the feeling this person is married, but it never a husband will never appear because Krishna is only Purusha in the there can be there can be not another Purusha.
Yes.
Somebody, but it could be just for the taste of rasa. As you know, your school teacher is married, but you never saw her husband. But
Some people are married.
yeah, I don't know.
That's why, all this, the details, of course, the Shastras, I'm sure, who is dwelling in the Rasa Shastra, they will find more details, but as I understand, that there's a notion that they're married. But maybe somebody is married, I don't know. As I understand, this is the some. Yes, Veda Sara Prabhu, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to elaborate further on this point because the topic was that in the material world, the husbands of the gopis, they are envious of Krishna and they don't want, and this is creating some kind of rasa between the gopis and Krishna that is forbidden and this and that. But the husbands in the spiritual world couldn't be envious because they must be pure to be there, but are they in this consciousness in order to fuel the rasa? Like this.
Even in Bhagavatam, husbands cannot be envious of Krishna. Is it a speculation or did you quote from the Shastra?
No, we were just wondering.
Are you making a statement or are you asking?
We're asking.
Are you asking or you're making a statement?
Asking.
Oh, okay. Well, let me look at it and I'll let you know tomorrow.
Well, it's just thoughts.
Let me just write it down. Don't forget.
I can remind you.
Okay.
Because with the demons it's also rasa for Krishna, but it's not in the spiritual world.
Yes. No. The demons actually not killed by Krishna, ultimately. As the Acharyas are saying, this is actually Vasudeva Krishna. It's not a Goloka Vrindavan Krishna. Krishna never kills. Whenever there's a need to be demon to be killed, Krishna changes, you can say, into Vasudeva Krishna. Vasudeva Krishna kills demons. Because Krishna is just playing flute in Vrindavan. He's not, this is, I don't want to say below him, but something like this, It's a different level. Yeah. You know? So like this. Yeah. It's a great science, I think it's a wonderful thing that we have all these questions. There's so many things, and the more we practice Krishna consciousness, the more things become clear. And then at the end of our lives, everything will be clear. Then you see, this is how it works, that's how it works. Now I understand. And irrelevant. This is what when you were asking this question about gopis, I was thinking, I think gopis are so much in ecstasy that they don't even think about these things. When I read how Gopakumar went to the spiritual world, it was just complete, total emotional, outburst. There's no logic. He's out of the door.
It's like when you're in love, nothing else matters.
Yes, and when you're extremely in love, nothing matters. And then also Gopakumar, let's go to Gopakumar. When he was instructed by Srimati Radharani to go to material Vrindavan. But imagine, Srimati Radharani, she's the queen of Vrindavan. Although Gopakumar is a cowherd boy, Radharani directly gave him instruction. Imagine this honor, So it's not like Gopas that they don't know about the Radha, they don't see. No, they know who's the queen, who's the boss here. So Radharani, through somebody, not herself, sent a message to Gopakumar, go to earthly Vrindavan, and there's a one Brahmana, Janamejaya, whatever his name is, and help him to move from the material world to the spiritual world. So they care. So he said he was thinking, how can I not see Krishna? Because he could not imagine not to see. If he go to Vrindavan to help the Brahmana, he will not see Krishna. But serving Radharani is the higher duty. They know, everybody knows. So he went to earthly Vrindavan. How? He traveled with airplane, luggage. No. He just made one step, and another step, he was in earthly Vrindavan. And he said there's no difference whatsoever between Goloka Vrindavan and earthly Vrindavan. There was the same. The same place. Then he saw the Brahmana, and he went there, and he embraced him, whatever. They roll on the ground, as everybody else in our line, always rolling on the ground and crying and all this. Amazing. I was thinking, you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, everybody's rolling on the ground all the time. fainting, sweating, crying, and rolling on the ground, and then faint. And then when they wake up, they again roll on the ground. So this is our religion, rolling on the ground. And then he instructed this Brahmana how to actually make this transition from the material world to the spiritual world. But they were in the same place. They didn't go anywhere. And then what did they do? They were speaking, and they heard a Krishna's flute from a far distance. No, first they heard the cows, moo and bells, boom, boom, boom. And there was what is this now? Then they heard a flute. And then they knew Krishna has come. So it's difficult for us to understand, spiritual world, material world, that there is no difference. How he just went from this to another. And he said there's no difference. But at the same time, it is different. Once we go there, we'll find out. Anyways, 9:10. Hare Krishna. This is good enough. Tomorrow we'll speak about Madhya Yashoda more and how she was boiling milk. Hare Krishna. Shri Vrindavan ki jai, Damodara Lila ki jai, Shri Kartik Vrata ki jai, Gaura Premananda Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktavrinda ki jai. As they say in Hindi, Sab Lok ki jai. Everybody. Lok means all people. Sab. Hare Krishna. Are you turning this off? Anybody turning the camera off? People send you, can you turn the camera off? Or anybody's turning the camera off? Camera? Just turn it off. Hare Krishna. These words will be broadcast all over the world. Ramananda. No, it's your turn now. No, this was Brian. I think Brian told me. This is below us. Camera.